I'm a licensed naturopathic physician. I have 25 years of clinical experience, and it is my privilege to have Dr. Wallach's back and to be the second witness to Dr. Wallach's message of health recovery through science-based. In the next 72 hours, approximately 2,700 people in the United States will die needlessly. 780,000 people a year are killed because of medical incompetence, medical mistakes, and just the good old-fashioned wrong medical therapeutic. My people are destroyed by lack of knowledge. And make no bones about it, let there be no doubt, we are in the business of shortening prayer lists. If this circle represents all of the knowledge that's in the entire universe, everything there is to know about everything, most of us hang out here. It's the stuff that we know. You know, we know how to drive a car, we know how to speak English, some of us know how to speak Spanish, some of us know how to play the guitar. There's another little piece of the pie. It's the stuff that, well, things we don't know how to do. I don't know how to fly an airplane. I don't know how to do quantum physics, right? I can't speak French. This is how it is for most of us. There's the stuff that we know and the stuff that we don't know. But an interesting point to ponder is that in the domain of all of the information in the entire world, the majority of the stuff exists in the field of the stuff that we didn't know we didn't know. It is so far outside of our reference zone, I didn't know that. When we have access to the information that we didn't know, that's when we have a eureka experience. That's when the lights go on. And it is my intention to give everybody in this audience a eureka experience right now about medicine and healthcare. Because the stuff that we didn't know, the stuff that your brothers and sisters and husbands and wives and parents, kids didn't know that they didn't know about health and healing is killing you. Now, an interesting thing to understand about the way that medicine is disseminated in the free world around the globe right now is that medical doctors, MDs, have positioned themselves into the driver's seat of medicine. And in point of fact, your medical doctor might be the nicest person in the world. They might work for Doctors Without Borders. They might work for Rotary and donate hundreds of hours of free medical care a year. They might be super nice people. But the way that they are trained is in one small piece of the pie of medical science. MDs do not own the field of medicine. Nobody does. Medicine is a vast domain. It's a vast territory. And the piece of the pie of medical science that MDs are trained in, well, is just that. It's a piece of the pie. It's not the whole pie. But the pharmaceutical industry has convinced you and enculturated you to believe that the MD knows everything about medicine, knows everything about everything. And everybody else, the naturopaths, the osteopaths, the chiropractors, traditional Chinese medicine, herbalists, you name it, everybody but the MD is the back of the bus alternative quack. It's nonsense. It's a lie, quite frankly. Nobody owns medical science, and your MD is trained in one small piece of the pie of medical science. It's referred to as allopathic reductionism. Now listen, I'm a naturopathic doctor, right? There's naturopathy, homeopathy, osteopathy, chiropractic, Ayurvedic, and so forth and so on. Well, the type of medicine that your MD is trained in is called allopathic medicine. They're not trained in medicine, they're trained in allopathic medicine. Allopathic medicine is fascinating to understand, and it's important that you understand it because when you're sick and suffering, you're afraid, and you're up against it, and you go to the doctor, you'll do whatever the doctor tells you to do regardless. You just give yourself over to them because you trust that your medical doctor knows what's best for you. When in point of fact, your medical doctor only knows what they've been trained in, and that's just one small piece of the pie of medical science. You need to be forewarned, forearmed. You need to know what you're getting yourself into before you go there. So let's take a look at it. Perhaps the most important thing for people to understand from my point of view is this idea of perspective. It's not there to you. You're looking right at it, but your perspective makes you blind to information that's directly in front of your face. And this is a very important concept to understand. The perspective that MDs are trained in of medical science has a built-in fatal flaw. And because of this built-in fatal flaw, their therapeutics consistently hurt us. Now, the way that MDs are trained, remember, you don't know what you don't know. MDs are trained not to be concerned with what causes disease. That's interesting. The person that you bring your children to is not trained to be concerned with what causes disease. MDs are only trained how to manage the disease with drugs. They can't fix asthma, they can't fix type 2 diabetes, they can't fix heartburn, they can't fix arthritis, they can't fix anything, but they can manage everything. And this is how MDs are trained and how MDs are taught. You need to understand this, because when you're sick and suffering, you are scared. You are in fear mode and you are up against it. If I had a chronic health condition, it might not be the best idea to bring my body to a doctor that doesn't care what caused it and that is only trained in how to manage it with drugs. Now listen, there's nothing wrong with drugs. Drugs are like guns. It's not the gun, it's how it's used, for goodness sake. Nothing wrong. I mean, thank God for Novocaine. Thank God for morphine. It's how the drug is used. But when MDs prescribe drugs, well, it's not that great. And this is the most important thing to understand. Your medical doctor, bless their heart, has been trained to believe that your body does not know how to fix itself and that once you're sick, and your only option is to march in with man-made synthetic drugs that manage the problem. And by the way, to the profession that does not even know how to cure heartburn, right? They can't cure heartburn. They can manage it with a little purple pill. They can manage it quite well. Proton pump inhibitors are the second biggest selling drugs in the world. Proton pump inhibitor. Heartburn medicine, the second largest selling drugs in the world. They can manage it very well, but they can't cure it. And to the profession that does not even know how to cure heartburn, we have given $600 billion to come up with a cure for cancer. They can't even cure heartburn, but let's give them a try at cancer. Now, look, this isn't an MD bashing session. This is a let's get real, let's get knowledge, because there's stuff we don't know. MDs, remember, are trained in one small piece of that pie. Well, look, that piece of the pie is really good for certain things. Reductionism is good for trauma, for surgery when it's necessary, and a handful of infectious diseases. This is the wheelhouse of the MD. However, according to Harvard University, 54% of emergency room medical doctors are addicted to street drugs, alcohol, or prescription meds. 54. So if you are unfortunate enough to be transported to the emergency room, have your doctor drug tested before you let him near you with a scalpel. Because God is my witness. Do not know what you do not know, and it is killing you slowly. Another interesting historical point that everybody's forgotten is that the MDs are in the wheelhouse of medicine, and they are. I mean, look around. The only medicine practiced in your hospital, the only medicine your insurance pays for, the only medicine they teach you about in school, the only medicine you know anything about is MD-directed medicine. These guys are in the driver's seat. They're in the catbird seat, and they've been there for 100 years, so most people think, well, they must be number one because their you-know-what doesn't stink. They must be number one because they're better at what they do, because they're more effective, because they're less expensive. No. The only reason that MDs are in the driver's seat is because of this guy, Abraham Flexner. Abraham Flexner was paid by the Carnegie Corporation to go around the world, the United States, and do an inventory of all of the medical schools. Before the Flexner Report, which it's famously called, nobody had the upper hand. You had the osteopaths, the chiropractors, the MDs, the naturopaths. Everybody was all spread out. It was a turf war. Nobody had the upper hand. But Flexner brought his list back to the Carnegies, who owned drug companies, and the Carnegies proceeded to give millions of dollars of free money to the medical schools that practiced MD medicine. So if you're starting a business and I'm starting a business and you get $1 million of free money and I don't, guess who's going to have a better business? You are. The MDs also glad-handed legislators to make it illegal to practice medicine unless you were an MD. How convenient. So the MDs are in the driver's seat of medicine because of the Flexner Report and pharmaceutical money. After the Flexner Report, this is what it looked like. The MDs were on top, and everybody else was the back of the bus, thrown off the bus of medicine. This is 1914. I am a licensed naturopathic physician. In the great state of Washington, Seattle, I can deliver babies, prescribe drugs, perform minor surgery, work in hospitals, call myself a physician, order any diagnostic tests I want, and it's all covered by insurance. If I was to do exactly the same thing in Chicago, I'd be thrown in jail for a year and fined $5,000 for practicing medicine without a license, and that's not right. We do not have a free medical market in the United States. But you don't know what you don't know. You don't know this. For goodness sake, you don't even know how to pronounce naturopath, let alone know what it means, right? I mean, let's be real. We do not have a free medical market in the United States. The MDs have been driving the bus of medicine since the early 1900s. Now, you know, MDs are great for trauma and for surgery. You have a bullet in your arm, you get your leg blown off, heaven forbid you get T-boned in the accident, in the intersection. That you should bring your body to an MD, just have them drug tested because that's their wheelhouse, that's their domain, that's their bailiwick, that's what they are good at. But for everything else, for everything that most people go to the doctor for most of the time, high blood pressure, heartburn, congestive heart failure, asthma, arthritis, fibromyalgia, the heartbreak of psoriasis, bringing your body to an MD is a fool's errand because their perspective on medicine is clouded and they have nothing for you. Nothing for you except man-made drugs to manage the problem until it gets so bad you need to cut it out. But there is a better way, there is a different way, you just don't know that much about it. So look, you know, different strokes for different folks, right? Different dogs for different jobs. We need to take the right dog to the hunt. Well, naturopathic medicine that Dr. Wallach and myself are trained in argues, guess what? Newsflash, the human body is endowed with the God-given ability to fix itself. The human body knows how to fix itself. The human body wants to fix itself. And we are trained in the science-based, clinically verified application of therapeutics that support the body's ability to fix itself. Your body was so smart. It grew itself all by itself from a single-celled organism into you. Now, you think if it could do that, it knows how to fix itself? But your medical doctor, bless his heart, is blind to this. They do not know this. They cannot even conceptualize it. And the orthopedic surgeons are rubbing their hands together in glee, looking at all of the arthritic surgeries that they're going to have to do for the next 100 years. They are using you like an ATM machine. The better insurance you have, the worse off you are. Let's get real. In every industry, there are superstars, right? I mean, Wayne Gretzky, unbelievable. I don't know there's ever going to be a better hockey player than Gretzky. Da Vinci, right? I mean, come on. Nobody's ever going to get even close to Da Vinci's resume. Albert Einstein, unbelievable. There are people in every field of human endeavor who are way better at what they do than everybody else. It's just the way that it is. Well, I got to tell you, I have been doing this for 25 years. I'm a licensed naturopathic physician in primary practice. I have been doing naturopathic medicine for 25 years, and you have to be kind of a knucklehead to be a bad naturopath, because all that we do is give the body what it needs, get out of the way, and let it fix itself. We support the body's ability to fix itself. It's not that hard. I got great results before I met Dr. Wallach. But in the fields of science-based, clinically verified, licensed naturopathic medicine, Wallach is an unrivaled superstar. Since I've been following Dr. Wallach's therapeutics, using his research and his protocols for the last 4.5, 5 years, I don't even know what planet I'm on anymore, because the things that I've seen people recover from blow my mind. You don't know Dr. Wallach like I know Dr. Wallach. I know Dr. Wallach from the medical community. I've known Wallach for 25 years, and as God is my witness, he is the most experienced naturopathic physician. Quite frankly, he's the most experienced physician on the planet, and we are lucky to have him driving this bus. Now look, somebody's got to be number one, and there's a reason why Wallach's therapeutics are so unbelievably effective. There's a reason. It's not magic and pixie dust. It's this. This book Wallach wrote took 12 years, $25 million. It's in the Smithsonian. It's a national treasure. Doc did 26,000 autopsies, 10 million blood chemistries. That's a lot of work. When you do this much old-fashioned, boots on the ground, reality-based research, and then you follow it up with decades of clinical application, you're going to get a clue. And that's why Wallach's therapeutics is so unbelievably effective. This is science-based, clinically verified, new-fashioned medical nutrition brought to you by the superstar of holistic medicine in the world, Dr. Joel Wallach. No other company has his recipes, and because we have the recipes, we get unbelievable results. And here's what Wallach's research showed. The majority of chronic diseases are not genetic, they're not autoimmune, they're caused by nutrient deficiencies, and they're fixed with the proper nutrition. Listen, if you're struggling with a chronic health condition, asthma, arthritis, type 2 diabetes, fibromyalgia, heartburn, you don't have a bad gene, you have a bad doctor. Wallach set longevity up as a network business for one reason and one reason only: to end human suffering. He knows what you don't know. Now, you know the drill. These are the nails that your body needs: 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 2 EFAs. That's why we call it 90 for life, baby. Only problem with the minerals is you can't get them all from food because they're not in the soil. That's where they come from. A plant can't make a mineral. Carrots can't make gold. Too bad. So we have to supplement with these things. In order to survive on planet Earth, there are things that we must do. We have to build houses and protect ourselves from the elements. We have to find and purify water. We have to develop a waste elimination system. There's one more thing we need to do. We need to scour the globe. We need to secure the 90 essential nutrients essential for health, and we need to swallow them every day. If you do not do that, it is only a matter of time until something leaks out and something breaks. And this is how it breaks down. If this represents your body's nutrient needs, this tank needs to be filled to the brim every day with the 90 essential nutrients. Fill it to the brim, Jim, every day with the 90 essential nutrients. But most of us, because we didn't know what we didn't know, and because your medical doctor told you, oh, don't take those vitamins, they just give you expensive urine. Here, take this drug instead. Because most of us don't know this is what most of our nutritional tanks look like. We have less than half, because that's about how much you can get from food if you're lucky. And then, heaven forbid, here comes the stress of life. Emotional stress, financial stress, political stress, weather, aging, viruses, germs, bacteria, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. The stress of life drains our reserves, bada bing, bada boom. Now we're running on fumes and things start to break. It's that simple, folks. This is why chronic disease generates. You don't have an autoimmune disease. You don't have a bad gene. Your body has simply run out of the stuff it needs to maintain and repair itself. It's that simple. You just need to use common sense and understand that healing is easy. Give people the essential nutrients that their body needs, appropriate for their body weight. Get the heck out of the way and let the magic begin. Here's a handful of deficiency diseases. Talk about not knowing what you didn't know. Ringing in the ears, a calcium deficiency. Vertigo, a calcium deficiency. By the way, did you know that in the pathophysiological textbooks, there's a type of vertigo called Wallach's vertigo? Doc's got a disease named after him. Congestive heart failure, vitamin B1, asthma, EFA, you got swelling in the legs, you don't have enough protein in your blood, and if you're overweight, you have multiple nutrient deficiencies, period. It's period. They are nutrient deficiency diseases, plain and simple. Well, let's break it down and look at how an MD and Dr. Wallach looks at arthritis. Let's just, by way of education, break it down. By the way, arthritis is fancy schmancy doctor talk for pain in the joints. So you know what that means? You got pain in the joint, you go to your medical doctor, he does $3,000 worth of testing and he tells you, hey Jim, you know what? You got pain in the joints. But when he calls it arthritis, you genuflect. Oh, really, doctor? Thank you very much. It's arthritis? Thank you very much. It's fancy schmancy doctor talk for arthritis. That's bad rheumatoid arthritis. I've seen that completely go away, 100%, completely reversed. Now there's a woman, I forget her name, she was with Doc for a number of years, she's retired now, she had it twice as bad as this. She pointed her hands towards you, the fingers were curled back pointing towards her. That's how bad her rheumatoid was. She completely eliminated it with Dr. Wallach, completely eliminated it. Here's how MDs handle arthritis. Anti-inflammatory meds, pain meds, surgery. More pain meds, more anti-inflammatory meds, and more surgery. That's how they do it. And this is what it looks like. Boom, boom, a boom. See this little rod that they put down into your leg bone? Ever dug a post? So you dig the hole out and you stick the post in it. Now if you're smart, you put concrete in the post. But most people don't do that. They just put dirt and stones in it and tamp it down and walk away. Well, after a while, the post starts to wiggle. Well, guess what? After a while, this starts to wiggle. When that starts to wiggle, it hurts like a son of a gun, and they've got to replace the knee, drill a bigger hole in your leg. I've had patients that have had 5 fake knees. No refunds. 5 fake knees. Oh, let's just dig a bigger hole. Now, you wouldn't accept that if you took your automobile and they put a new transmission in it, cost you $12,000, and you drove down the road and it fell out. What would you do? You'd sue them. But when the MD does this to you, and oh, it failed, you give them a pass. Oh, it fails, you give them a pass. And you continue to give your hard-earned money for medical insurance premiums every month that gives you access to the biggest failed medical system in the world. And because the MD doesn't know what they don't know. They don't know anything about medical nutrition. They have no training, no experience, no respect, and no appreciation with medical nutrition. We got to do something. What are we going to do, boys? Let's cut. All right, let's cut. I can do that. Make no doubt about it. Longevity was set up to eliminate human suffering, and we need your help. This is science-based, clinically verified, new-fashioned medical nutrition brought to you by the unrivaled superstar of holistic medicine, Dr. Joel Wallach. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. Thank you for your time.
He's 87 years old, and since he was 14, he hadn't urinated. He's been on dialysis for like 73 years.
Wow.
And we got him on our program for kidney failure. In 2 weeks' time, he's urinating. In 2 more weeks' time, he's totally off of dialysis. He's been on dialysis 6 days a week for 73 years. And in less than a month, he's off of dialysis.
How did you do that?
Well, this is a God thing, right?
I know, but how did God use you?
Well, we gave him the 90 essential nutrients. Well, it turns out there's nothing wrong with your kidney when you have kidney failure. What happens is the little microscopic arteries that carry the dirty blood into the filtering units are plugged. So your kidney function goes down, not because there's anything wrong with the kidney, it's just that dirty blood is not being delivered Yes.
He's a young man. He's related to me.
We do this thousands of times a year.
That you can prevent someone from having
a kidney transplant. We get them off of dialysis, absolutely.
You've helped thousands.
Thousands. And things like knees, millions.
Whoa,
Kidney
stop,
failure,
Doc.
millions. Yes,
millions of people you've helped
50 countries. When you get a knee replacement or a hip replacement, the disease continues to deteriorate the bones. And after a while, that artificial joint they put in there begins to wallow around in there and cause more pain. They say, well, we got to redo it now.
Diabetes,
okay.
Heart disease that's striking people left and right.
Easy stuff.
Easy stuff, you
yes,
say?
Sir. We know how to get rid of and prevent diabetes 70 years ago. This is very easy.
Doc, how about diabetes? It can be reversed,
yes,
even in an old person, like my mom.
I don't care if you're 170 years old. If your heart is still pumping, type 2 diabetes is reversible. You see, there's all kinds of heart attacks, and none of them have anything to do with cholesterol. Cholesterol is a total lie. It's the biggest fraud ever perpetuated against the people. Of February 2012, the FDA sent an email to every doctor in America that said, stop telling people to take cholesterol-lowering drugs because it increases your risk of Alzheimer's disease by 100%, type 2 diabetes by 53.
Yeah. She's free from asthma.
For 10 years, yeah.
Because of you.
Yes, sir.
And other people you've helped.
Actually, it's God's
Of course it's the Lord, but He used you. You're His instrument.
But arthritis, 95% is due to just simple mineral deficiencies. That's osteopenia, osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, degenerative arthritis, bone-to-bone arthritis, all mineral deficiencies. I can cure that disease, rheumatoid arthritis, in 2 weeks with an antibiotic called minocycline. For instance, in Australia, which has the highest rate of skin cancer because they have no ozone layer there.
Right.
There's a big hole. They have the highest rate of skin cancer. By taking one mineral, you can reduce your risk of skin cancer by 60% just by taking one mineral.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I've cured people who were designated as having Alzheimer's disease, terminal Alzheimer's disease, for 8 years, Pastor Benny.
My goodness.
And in 1 week's time, they get dressed, they walk out perfectly normal. These are people who are unconscious, totally unresponsive, and they had to be fed through the G-tube. In 1 week, they get dressed, get up, and walk out perfectly normal. Arteriosclerosis, where you get clogging of the arteries. That's not caused by cholesterol. It's caused by eating fried foods and processed meats and oils and that kind of stuff.
So fried foods and all that really are bad for you,
yes,
as
sir,
they
very
say.
bad.
Okay.
And then you get an omega-3 essential fatty acid deficiency. I actually sued the FDA over this and went and prevailed in federal court to be able to say this.
You sued them.
You know, God has never failed me.
You know what? I believe you.
God has never failed me.